Welcome to the Make Meaning podcast. I'm Lynn Galadner, and I've dedicated my life to sharing stories of how people make meaning in their work and find purpose in their lives. On this podcast, we're going to talk about some of the great ideas and activities people do every day to make the world a better place and provide inspiration for others. So much of the meaning we find comes from interacting with great people, developing relationships that are mutually beneficial, and doing work that inspires everyone. I hope you'll be inspired by the people you meet here. We all need to find a way to make meaning in the mundane. Welcome back to the Make Meaning podcast. I'm Lynn Galadner, and I'm thrilled to talk with you today about how people make meaning and find purpose. Our next guest is Stacy Dockins, a yoga teacher in Texas whom I met years ago when I specialized in public relations for yoga businesses. We never worked together, but I participated in a weekend workshop with many of Stacy's students, and we've been connected on social media for the better part of a decade. Stacy teaches yoga through her business, The Yoga Project, and recently she became an author. Her new book, Embodied Posture, Your Unique Body and Yoga, presents more than 25 years of experience studying the human body in the context of yoga. Welcome to the Make Meaning podcast, Stacy.
Thank you so much, Lynn. It's an honor to be here.
It's great to talk with you. I feel like social media is the great connector because literally I met you once years ago, and I feel like I know you because I've been watching you all over social media, and it's very inspiring to see all the things that you're doing.
Thank you. It's so true. I often think about that with social media. We can look at it in such a negative light, but I was thinking about that. I was like, I know Lynn, sort of.
Yeah, right.
Sort of know her.
Exactly. I mean, it's funny when you say, I'm teaching class this day. I'm like, I wish I could go, but it's a little far. So,
A little far, yeah.
So a new book that's really exciting. I'd love to hear what inspired you to write this.
Yeah, so embodied posture is really the impetus for it. I guess initially, we've been training teachers for a long time, and there are many, many great yoga anatomy and yoga alignment resources out there, but I never felt like I had one resource to hand to my students that were becoming teachers that was inclusive, and I really am passionate about teaching body diversity and just the whole approach to yoga, like a shift from the aesthetic view of the practice to more of a feeling, embodied sense of the practice. So that's where it started. And then I kind of just, got my courage, I guess, a couple of years ago just to get it going. And it finally came to fruition.
That's awesome. And what kind of responses are you getting about the book?
Really good. I think people are surprised at what a comprehensive resource it is because I'm kind of an anatomy nerd, and that's kind of been my lifelong hobby. And so there's a lot of information in the book.
That is so cool.
Yeah. And more today in the yoga community, we're getting this wave toward moving away from just its aesthetic importance of the practice and all being posture driven and back into just more intelligence, from the perspective of how we move our bodies, and then also using it more and more as a true mindfulness practice.
Yeah. I actually wanted to ask you about that because, for a long time I specialized in working with yoga businesses. And so, and I've practiced yoga for a really long time, but I feel that there are trends moving in different directions. And so I'm wondering what you've seen as the evolution of both the yoga business, but also in students, and why and how they're coming to yoga. Have you seen any changes over the years?
Yeah, well, as far as the student, I think that, yoga was, and it still is obviously very trendy, but for a while there was the big wave of, the aesthetic driven, tendency in the practice. And, there's all of the, top, clothing brands in the fitness industry are very geared toward yoga. And so I think it was very, very trendy. And although it is still trendy, I see people kind of coming around to wanting to be more intelligent with their practice and not doing it just for the physical aspect, which I think that's totally okay just to do it for the physical aspect as well.
Yeah.
But I think that as more and more information comes out, kind of blending this idea of physical therapy and biomechanics and the science of mindfulness with yoga. I think people are desiring that more than ever now.
Well, yeah, I mean, we have to cut through all the clutter and the anger that's out there and find a safe space. And you can cultivate that in yoga. You don't have to go away from the world. You learn how to do that inwardly, which is such a powerful tool. I think everybody can
hmm
benefit from.
hmm hmm
So, as the yoga industry has evolved, you guys have 3 studios, is that right, in
Yes,
Texas?
we do.
So,
Yes.
how have you, I guess, what have you seen as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, in the need to evolve your business as the industry evolves, as well as the needs of your students? How have
hmm
you met
hmm
those changes?
hmm Well, I think that there's more and more big yoga chains. We've been approached by many of the top yoga,
Really?
yeah, and wanting to, because one of the models is coming in, finding these established studios, and kind of aiming to keep the vibe they've created and the
Uh huh.
staff, and
Uh huh.
it's very smart model, and but wanting
Yeah.
to buy the owners out. And
Okay.
yeah, so I think, as that happens more and more, and there's the big Core Power corporate chain, and
Uh huh.
we actually have a Core Power that opened just a few minutes down the sidewalk from us in
Oh
our
my
Fort Worth
gosh.
location. Yeah, so it's interesting, but I think that there's really room for everybody. Even then, it seems like they have such a big voice and they have the leverage to market in a way that maybe some of the smaller studios, even us, even though we're not on the very small end, but
Yeah.
they have such a big voice, and I think they draw a lot of people into yoga that
Sure.
wouldn't have come in. And then oftentimes we get connected with those students also, so they come to us looking for something different.
Yeah.
But I think that really pragmatically, it's like these big companies have the means to have very nice facilities,
Sure.
and people like nice facilities. So as a business owner, you have to kind of, even though that's not your main aim and that's not your passion, you have to like kind of, have an eye on what they're offering, and, have at least, meet them where they're at with that.
Yeah, for sure. It is
Yeah.
interesting because you make some really good points. I mean, I've always felt, and I'm in PR and marketing and business communications, and there's enough to go around. So while I know tons
hmm
of people in this industry, and all of them could do a great job, we each bring our own thing to the table, and we couldn't possibly serve everybody who needs these services. So you have
hmm
to have enough competition to meet all the demand and to bring your unique stamp or your unique way of doing things to people who are looking for that. And so I think that's really smart and healthy to look at it as there's room for everyone. And if you
hmm
just be in your integrity and you do it the way you meant to do it, then you'll be fine, really.
Yeah, yeah. I love what Oprah Winfrey. I don't know her words exactly, but there
Uh-huh.
was a recent podcast she did, and she said, "You got to just keep running your race as
Uh-huh.
hard as you can for you." And
I
I
love
love
it.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love
That's really
that.
cool.
Yeah.
So now I want to ask, I think you and your husband are partners in the business. Is that right?
Yes. Yes.
So tell me about that because, I was thinking about this as I was preparing to chat with you. And my husband works at a university, and every year from Christmas Eve until the day after New Year's, he has off. And I always get so excited because he's going to be home and we're going to do all these things together. And then, by January 2nd, I'm like, bye, go to work. Nice to see you. And I love him and we're great, but it's like 10 days is a long time to be together. And so I'm
Yeah.
wondering how you balance that and partner in life and in work successfully. How does that work for you guys?
Yeah, and we get asked this question a lot because we are together a lot, and in our business, this is what we do together full time. And I think the way it works really well for us is that although we're working together and side by side in the same sort of physical vicinity for a lot of the time, we have very different roles in what we do. And so
Okay.
he's more of the business guy. I mean, as
Okay.
far as the nuts and bolts of daily things that have to happen to keep the doors open,
Uh-huh.
and dealing with the staff. And I'm more of the creative, can't anchor me down as easily, part of the business. And I'm more in the creating the content, and the communications with the teachers and things like that. So I think because we have such different roles, we do really well together, and we've navigated that like space together for so long that it just seems to work well. And we have been together since we were 16. So
Oh, wow.
I don't know, I think maybe that has something to do with it. We just kind of learn how to respect and navigate each other's space.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah.
wonderful. You guys like grew up
Yeah.
together. So,
We
um,
really did. Yeah.
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 So, how did you get into yoga as a career? What was that journey like?
Yeah, so I was the mother of three really young children. I had my babies really close.
Uh-huh.
They were very close in age. And I kind of got, I think, to that place that a lot of mothers do. I'd been pregnant or nursing for many, many years in a row.
I remember those
And
days. Yep.
yes, and I was watching Dave go to the gym and like be fit. And here I was like looking at myself, and I had like milk and spit up on my clothes and like barely getting the laundry done. And one day so it started with this need to like just get into my body. And
Uh-huh.
so I started doing a lot of cycling, and I actually got my three babies. I had three crammed in the back seat, three baby seats in the back seat, went to the gym, really nervous about this new, just this navigating this, who I was at
Uh-huh.
that time,
Uh-huh.
so I went to the gym, started working out with my kids crying in the nursery, but I was going to do it. And then that led me to doing some cycling
Uh-huh.
and road cycling, which I fell in love with. I
Okay.
felt I was able to be in my body and my strength in a way that I never had been in my life. And then I did a lot of that because I loved it, that feeling of being strong in my body. And then that led to, oh my gosh, my back is hurting a little bit. I heard yoga could help. And so
Uh-huh.
that was my doorway into yoga. I just tried some classes, and I didn't exactly love it at first until
Uh-huh.
I found that the vinyasa, the flow style that I teach predominantly now,
Okay.
when I found that, I really loved it. And then that was the end of the story. It was like I just started doing just various. I did a hodgepodge of different trainings. I
Uh-huh.
ended up working with Baron Baptiste for quite a while,
Uh-huh.
training with him. And then I think when I met you, I kind of just started doing my own thing with
Yeah.
others in the
Yeah.
industry. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So here we are. Yeah.
That's really cool. That's a great evolution. And so I'm wondering how much of your personal story you weave into your business story. Like, what is the sort of the foundational story for your business that you put out there in your marketing messages?
Yeah, well, I think that, yoga can be accessible.
Uh-huh.
And my aim is to make it accessible for everyone. I think
Okay.
that oftentimes yoga is presented and not in a wrong way, or I'm not sharing this like it's a bad thing, but it's often shared, with its esoteric connectivities and just images of its history that's very contradictory anyway. There's a lot of
Yeah.
conflicting views on what the history of yoga really is.
Yeah.
And that's a whole other story. But I really just think Dave and I are always talking, like, how do we share this practice,
Uh-huh.
like the essence of this practice, in a way that it's non-exclusive and in a
Sure.
way that it's not intimidating to others. And that's still a challenging thing to do because it just has the word yoga connected to it, which can
Yeah.
be intimidating.
Yeah.
So really just sharing it in a way that it invites as many people in and helps people to feel okay with what we call, it's just a human practice. You
Huh.
don't have to have any special affiliations to do yoga
Nice.
or special beliefs. And, if you are a human and you breathe, then you can do yoga. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's really, and I think that's what helped me be comfortable in the practice when I was beginning,
Yeah.
and sort of navigating my own space and my beginning practice. And so that's really something we're always aiming
Yeah.
to do.
So, like messages of welcome and you're okay as you are, you can do this, that kind of thing. Sounds like what you're sending out there. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And then also really simple things like we speak English. I know
Uh-huh.
Sanskrit is a common language used
Uh-huh.
with yoga, but we find that most of our students are not speaking Sanskrit.
Right.
So we use just common language. This approach in the way we train teachers. Just give the tools. Just give the tools of helping students be in their breath, in their body, versus telling them how they should be or how they need to live their lives. But which can kind of get confused in yoga at times, but
Sure.
just give them the tools of being in their breath and body. So Yeah.
That's great. So, you mentioned your three babies who are no longer babies, right? How old are your kids now?
Yes.
Are they
So my oldest is 22
okay?
and my youngest just turned 19,
Okay.
and they're all in college and they all live together in a
Oh,
house.
that's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That is
Yes.
very cool. So,
Yes.
over the years, as you built this career and this business, how have you balanced, being a mom, being a wife, being an individual, and then an entrepreneur? How did you find sort of that balance from the practice or from meditation, or, what kind of tips do you have for people listening about how you do achieve that balance?
Yeah, well, I think, first and foremost, as you know, being a mom of young children, we learn how to juggle a lot of things. And I
Yeah.
really, that comes to mind at first. It's like, a sick kid, the other one needing to be at music practice, and then the yard work needing to be done. Like, I think
Yeah.
that as women and mothers, we learn how to juggle those things. And so I really think that a lot of my strength and just working hard and doing what it took to get things done
Yeah.
comes from that.
Uh-huh.
But I will say that my yoga practice did help me um, better decipher when I was just working from a place of fear, being from a place of fear, and
Uh-huh.
just using the simple tools of pausing and taking breaths and kind of reevaluating my situation. That
Yeah.
that really helped me as well.
Yeah. It's
And
interesting.
then
Go ahead.
I was just going to say that I think, my children have really been a part of what we do from when they were little. They have lots of great and not so great, I'm sure, memories of just being with us at our studios and,
Yeah.
some of our older customers that have been with us for a long time. So I remember when your kids were in the back room, watching cartoons. And so they just kind of we just kind of incorporated them into everything that we did as well.
Yeah, it's cool. My kids have practiced yoga with me over the years, and then they've gone into phases where they just want nothing to do with it. But I feel like those seeds
Mm-hmm.
are sown really at a young age, so it's part of them.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
maybe when they, my oldest is 17, so they're still at home, but maybe when they go off on their own, they'll find that anchor out there
Mm-hmm.
in the world and say, "Oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah, this was, for my earliest years with my mom," and it really is
Yeah.
grounding. But it's funny because I find as a working mom, I've always worked from home, which is wonderful, and I've made that conscious decision. But I do work, and so it's really a challenge every single day.
Mm-hmm.
I have one driver in the house, and then he has lots of sports after school. And my next high school student, doesn't. So she needs a ride home from school. And if I'm in the middle of something with work
Mm-hmm.
and have to tell her to go find a ride home, I mean, that guilt just rears its ugly head, because I think
Mm-hmm.
my first and foremost job is to be her mom and to be there for her.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then I say, well, she'll be fine. It's 2 miles and someone will drive her home and it'll work. But it's like, it's really that sort of the devil and the angel in my head just having a little argument.
Yeah, and it's so true. And I think that I see my kids now, college age, just a little older
Mm-hmm.
than yours, or like
Uh-huh.
they're in the next generation from yours. But
Yeah.
I see how them observing us as entrepreneurs and just juggling things. I see how it's really serving them now. Like, I didn't know.
Yeah.
I was like, how are our kids going to be? Like, they had these crazy yoga teachers for parents, and like, how is this going to how is this going to play out in today's idea of success and
Yeah.
society and all of this? And but I see where it's really served them. I see how they have these really creative little spirits and
Uh-huh.
always thinking of ways to do things differently. And I think that comes from them observing
Yeah.
us
Yeah.
being in that, just making it work however we had to,
Yeah.
entrepreneurial spirit.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. It
Yeah.
probably will have a very deep and long legacy. So that'll be cool to see it unfold.
Yeah.
So, I'd love to keep talking with you, but we're going to have to wrap up in a minute. And I want to get back to this notion of making meaning and finding purpose, which is what this show is all about. It's really what
Hmm.
I've been writing about my whole life. And so I wonder what advice you might have to share with our listeners about how to find your purpose, how to make what you're doing meaningful. Any wisdom you might want to pass on to those listening today.
Yeah, I think that just for me, it's been this journey of trusting myself enough to listen to what was present as far as my excitement. And like, I always tell my children, like, what excites you now? What are you always thinking about as far as something that's exciting you? And just, letting yourself go toward that without having to know exactly what it's going to mean on the other side.
Yeah.
And, without having so many expectations about, is this the wrong choice? Where's it going to lead me? But right now I feel tugged to this and I feel really excited about this. So, I'm really big on that. Like what we feel excited about, what tugs at our heart, there's something there to those things. And there's something that's really, another puzzle piece on our path. And we don't have to know what the path is exactly, as long as we're following those things. And I also think that, especially, being a mother of young adults, and I see how there's so much concern about, what am I going to be here? What's my job going to be? And I think that we live long enough to have to go many different directions. And living our purpose and our passion I think it's multi-directional if we want that, if we want it to be, it can be. I mean, I think that having getting so tracked in my career or who I am, can really blind us from those other opportunities. So just staying open and following those little heart tugs is.
Well, and also recognizing that who you are and what you do can inform one another and be one and the same too. They don't have to be separate either.
Right.
So, well, this is great. Stacy Dockins, it has been such a pleasure to chat with you. I wonder if you could share with our listeners how they could find your book. So how would they get their own copy of your new book?
It's on Amazon, and it's if you just search Embodied Posture, Stacy Dockins, it's there, and it's in paperback, and it's also in Kindle version. So
awesome! Congratulations! This is
Thank you
great.
so much, Lynn.
Yep, great to talk with you. Have a great day.
You as well. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Make Meaning podcast. I'm Lynn Galadner, and I've really enjoyed being here with you today. You can find the Make Meaning podcast wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, and I'd love it if you'd share our great conversations with all your people so we can add meaning wherever we go and whatever we do.